Good morning! Back in the shop again today. That's 2 videos in as many days, which is really weird, and I'm sort of getting used to this whole let's shoot video as much as we can thing that I'm trying out. That was my phone talking to me, telling me I have a text message. So, anyway, today is Descent Dwarf. Let's take a look. Well, he was in focus a second ago, I promise. Anyway, this is the guy. He is a little axe-wielding dwarf. And I think what I'm going to do is start with armor. And because I'm going to do that, I may just dry brush him all lead belcher. And why? Well, because it's a good start for the armor in any case. But also, it gives me a chance to sort of look at all of the detail on the figure. Sometimes I'll do that with a white dry brush, but since I'm doing the armor anyway, there's no point in not just using that same metallic to do essentially my detail finding. Yeah, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll get the armor painted, and probably then jump in on face and hair and such. So I'm going to go do that. Be back in a minute. So yeah, I've gotten some work done here. You can see his face is all painted. And I did go through and I've been sort of bringing out the various details. Oh sure, go right out of focus right there. Here, let's do this. Nope, that's not going to work. Anyway, highlighting various details so that I can see them to paint them. And it's really hard to figure out exactly what he was supposed to look like in terms of like what is armor, what is clothing. And I think there's actually less armor there than you might expect, so it's mostly clothes. Oh, and I cut off his axe. Yeah, it's right here. The reason I did that is the haft that was holding the axe in place was really bendy, and I was afraid that over time it was just gonna the paint was just gonna chip right off. So created a new haft with pin. That's not even glued yet, but it's going to be glued and chopped down and inserted back into the handle there. And it will make it more rigid and cool and better and superior to what was there before. So now I'm just going through and doing some pulling out all the detail, and I'm going to go do that. I'll be back in a bit. And there he is. He turned out pretty well. It kind of surprises me how nice, how nice the board game minis are these days. I mean, the sculpt is really good, and the casting isn't too bad. I mean, considering it's, you know, they're trying to punch these things out in quantity, and it's you know, the quality needed for board game pieces would tend to be a little bit rigorous than for, you know, high quality miniatures games, but now the lines are getting kind of blurred. The axe went back on. Looks fine. It's much more solid than it was before. I'm not worried about the paint chipping over there anymore. Still think he looks a bit like crazed Santa Claus, but I didn't choose the colors. So you can't blame me for that. Well, if I keep dropping him, I'm going to have to touch him up. No, he's fine. He's fine. So what's next? Well, hold on. I will show you. Actually, this is next. Although Not today. Today I think I'm going to take some pictures of all of these minis that I have sitting around waiting to find their way back to their owners. But I am really looking forward to doing this guy. And yeah, I already actually got started on him a bit. Hold on one second, let me get this organized. So when I first got this guy, I couldn't help myself. I wanted to start putting it together right away, even though it was weeks away from where I was actually going to be able to do anything with him with paint. But the first thing that I noticed right off was that this piece here, whoops, let's get that hand out of the way. This piece did not fit onto his back like it was supposed to. In fact, it was so bad that I just assumed that it was completely miscast and there was no way it was going to work. But with the proper application of hot water and then a lot of pressure, I was able to get it to seat pretty nicely back into place. That's not bad at all anymore. I feel like I could leave it as is and then fill the seams and it would be fine, although I think I'm going to do one more application of hot water and pressure to see how well I can get that to sit before I do call it done. And I got the arms on, but they still need to have some seaming work done. And I glued that little guy on there. And there's his ass. But this is going to be a fun project. I am super looking forward to this. This is it's going to be airbrush heaven, is what that's going to be. So yeah, but I'm not going to get started on that this week. That's going to be for next week. Possibly, actually, now that you think about it, if the other scourge part comes in, that'll be next week. Although, you know what? Either way, this is going to get started next week, even if it's just doing all the preliminary assembly. But anyway, that's going to be it for today. I mean, a relatively short video, I guess, all things considered. And I will talk to you all next week. Unless I find something else to talk to in the meantime. I might. We'll see. Maybe I'll be super, super productive on my video making. You never know. That's it. Talk to you later.